Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of my F1 2020 career mode for the Singapore Grand Prix today, driving for AlphaTauri, and we have made some pretty good progress. If you didn't see the last episode, go and check that one out because that was one of the best episodes of the season. It's probably the best episode of the series, to be honest, but you can see very close to being the second fastest car in the field now, right behind Red Bull and Mercedes Racing Point. Anyway, we move on to the end of Q1, getting through relatively easily. A little bit close for Danny Kvyat, but we have Grosjean, Raikkonen, Giovinazzi, Russell and Latifi knocked out in the first round of qualifying. But yeah, we are in pretty decent form heading into this one. So let's just hope we can continue the results we've had in the recent past. The speed we've had in this car is quite incredible from where we started at the beginning of the season, struggling to get into the points on occasion, to now potentially looking at podiums. But you'll see on this second lap we are on, or into Q2, we're on the medium tyres because I do not want to touch the soft tyres in the race. They are going to be absolutely horrendous. They always have been around here at Singapore, so if we can't get through to Q3 on the mediums, I don't want to get through at all because I want to start on the medium compound tyres. So we move on through this lap, getting it together reasonably well, just trying to do a clean, solid lap, not trying to do anything too crazy. But at the same time, we do need to get a move on because to set a lap time good enough to move on into Q3 while on the medium tyres is a bit of a challenge in itself, and we don't have, the best car. We're just, somewhere near the front, so this could be quite difficult to try and do, but we're going to do our best as we come around the final couple of corners. Will we make it through into Q3? Not quite. It's P13, but a pretty decent starting position, I would consider that. So yeah, we will start in 13th. Danny Kvyat just makes it through into Q3, so good work by him. And the two Mercs foreseeably are able to make it through on the medium compound. So there you have it. And also Sebastian Vettel on the mediums as well, so that could serve him well later on. So great job there by Vettel, actually, because that Ferrari I think is the 5th fastest car. But let's get into the race to see how it goes.
Here we go then, it's Formula One in Marina Bay once again, and welcome to all of you at home who join us today for this fascinating race around the baking hot, horribly humid, but very beautiful streets of Singapore. The Marina Bay Street Circuit then has 23 corners, 13 to the left and 10 to the right, taking us a total of 3.1 miles around the landmarks of downtown Singapore. An average lap speed around here, just 107 miles per hour. Anthony Davidson joins me again for the race today. Now, let's talk about Charles Leclerc. As ever, the threat of unreliability is never far away, and indeed they'll be starting out of position today due to a power unit component change. So it's going to be a difficult task to move forward from there.
But on the bright side, at least those fresh components can help them maintain the power they need to come through the pack. I expect to see them take a more aggressive approach today to make up for the compromised start.
It's time to see how our drivers are stacking up after yesterday's exciting qualifying session. Lewis Hamilton lines up on pole position, and it's Valtteri Bottas that completes the front row. Considering the rest of the grid, we have Vettel, Verstappen, Sergio Perez, and Kvyat. Norris, the scientist, Leclerc, they'll be starting further back after an earlier grid penalty. And Kevin Magnussen, Stroll, Grosjean, Daniel Ricciardo, and Raikkonen, Giovinazzi, Russell, Carlos Sainz, and Nicholas Latifi, Albon, and Esteban Ocon rounds off the grid. Which of these talented drivers will come out on top today?
Okay, she bagged a podium result last race. Let's see if we can do the same here.
So Jeff there ruining the last episode, but anyway, it will be raining about, 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes into the race, and then we'll actually move to heavy rain around the half-hour mark, and then dry up around halfway through by the look of things. So it will be a very mixed up race, so let's hope we can get the strategy right. We're going to start on the medium tyres, as I said, so let's just get into it and see how it goes. I think we can potentially fight for a podium, but it depends if we have the pace of Sebastian Vettel, who is also starting on the medium tyres. But anyway, we're on an elevated starting position of 8th. But we get underway for the Singapore Grand Prix. The lights are out, and we actually get a pretty decent start versus Lando Norris. Kvyat trying to go through the middle there, not going to find a window. We have a little look to the inside of Kvyat, no move to be made there. Norris tries to fight back around the outside. We send it into turn 3 to make sure we cover him off and stay ahead of Lando Norris, and we gain 7th position on the opening first couple of corners. But can we maybe make a move on Kvyat as we head towards the end of this long straight? Kvyat is going to go for a move down the inside of Sergio Perez, and he's going to maybe be able to squeeze him out here. He leaves in the space on the exit. Perez, though, will have the inside line as we head through the middle sector. It gets very, very tight through here, and Kvyat is managed to go around the outside, gets the inside line for the next left-hander, and manages to make that move on Sergio Perez. Meanwhile, we've just been watching on, but we will have our chance to overtake Sergio Perez soon enough. We go up the inside, not quite getting there, very close to running into the back of him there. The Mexican very slow through there compared to what we are capable of, but we will try again soon enough, and we're actually going to go for a completely different part of the circuit down the inside as we head towards the final sector, which I think no, this doesn't start for another couple of corners, but yeah, towards the end of the middle sector we do get that move done on Sergio Perez and move ourselves up into what is now 6th position. There is a replay of that move, and fairly easily done there in the end.
5 minutes until rainfall expected. 5 minutes until rain. Dries seem like the fastest tyre at the moment.
But the rain will be coming very, very soon, as you can hear. So we are probably not going to get the full advantage of these medium tyres, as the soft tyres, they will be starting to go off by this point in the race. They really are not very good. You can see we are catching our own teammates, so I guess there's the evidence, and we're actually going to up the inside as we head into this very sharp left-hander. Too sharp for us though. We run wide, and Kvyat manages to hold at that position for the time being. We're just a little bit too eager there, and outbroke ourselves. But yeah, Kvyat manages to keep his composure and maintain that position, but we will have another chance to come back at him. We're going to go up the inside, and we'll overtake him at the same place that we overtook Sergio Perez, and we'll make the move on Kvyat, and now up into 5th position. Next up is Max Verstappen, but the rain will be coming very, very soon, so we need to try and get through the traffic as quickly as we can. But here is Max Verstappen right ahead of us, and we might be able to make a move in Max Verstappen in the same place. We're very strong coming out of that very tight right-hander. We go up the inside and make the move on Max Verstappen, and actually that's probably one of the best moves we've made there at that part of the circuit. But anyway, we've got that position now in our pocket, up into 4th position. Next up is Sebastian Vettel, the other medium tyre runner. You can see the medium tyres are the way to go at this point, because the medium tyre runners first down to 4th with myself. So they are they were the right choice to start on, I believe. But as we continue on, as you saw there, the rain was coming down, and that did affect our pace a little bit towards the end of this stint. But it is now time to come into the box for intermediate tyres for the next couple of laps. So in we come then to the pit lane, actually overshooting the pit lane back onto the circuit. We do manage to get it stopped and back into pit lane. Not sure if that's really legal in real life, but we managed to get away with it. But that was certainly a dodgy pit entry there. But anyway, into the box we go for the intermediate tyres, and they will help us displace some of that water in these conditions. So we've managed to maintain position, but actually there's a few cars that did not go into the pit lane, so they're going to be losing so much time at the start.
Stay clear of the white line on the exit. We'll receive a penalty for dangerous driving if you cross over into the track.
At the start of this phase of the race, you can see the cars on the right hand side overtaking us. Romain Grosjean there. They're going to really struggle in these conditions to get any kind of traction, and they're going to lose so much time. So it's a huge blunder for all of those teams and drivers that stayed out the extra lap. We do get ahead of the Haas there of Romain Grosjean, and you can just see the difference in traction as we have a big old slide there. But you can see on the race director all the drivers that don't have intermediate tyres next to their name, and one of those is Valtteri Bottas, so they've really missed the target there with Bottas. Mercedes have, and that is a disaster for him and his title hopes. But anyway, as we continue on, we do regain third position now, and that is the power of that undercut. We've overtaken Valtteri Bottas, but a mistake into this hairpin, and Bottas gets up the inside, and as we go side by side along this next straight, we're actually not going to fight this position in the end. We're going to give it to Bottas because he's got the pace. We don't need to be battling with a Mercedes when our fight is with Red Bull and Ferrari.
Check your MFD for a new strategy option.
So yeah, we're just going to let that one go and focus on our own race. And as we come in to the pits for another stop onto the full wet tyres now. So this has really spiraled out of control in the rainy conditions, and the blue wall tyres will be required for this next phase of the race. So hopefully we can produce some better pace on those, because there wasn't really a lot happening for us in that stint. As it was in the first, we were sort of catching Verstappen towards the... not Verstappen, Vettel towards the end. But anyway, we continue.
Last stop, no more scheduled pit stops.
And yeah, we go on to the wet tyres. They will hopefully give us some more pace, as I just said. And immediately coming out of the pit lane, you can see how much water is on the screen and on the track.
You're in fourth position. Bottas ahead. Our gap to the car in front is 9.0 seconds.
But it's a big old gap to Bottas up ahead of us at this point. But as we go on through this race, we really are struggling for grip as Max Verstappen slides past as we were off the line there and making mistakes. So yeah, these wet tyres just have not worked out for us. I think they're just overheating, and yeah, they're just not giving me the same grip as they seem to be giving everyone else. So a bit of a frustrating phase of the race, that's got to be said. Normally the wet tyres have been alright for me, but unfortunately on this occasion around Singapore, they just I think are overheating, and yeah, they're just not giving me any grip. So I can only just wait and hope that we return to intermediate conditions soon. But that will eventually come as we actually let Danny Kvyat past us there. That's how much time we're losing. Kvyat caught back up to us, but we come in on this lap, as I was just saying, to put the intermediate tyres back on, and I let Kvyat past on this lap on purpose, because in these rainy conditions he might struggle to overtake cars, and I feel like I've got a better chance of making the moves. So doing a bit of a sporting thing here, we'll take the slow pit stop and we'll make the moves, and Kvyat can keep the track position because I just feel like that is the best way to go for the best result for the team. So hopefully we don't regret that decision later on in the race, but we'll see how that goes. But out of pit lane we go then, and let's see how these intermediate tyres feel. Instantly so much better than the wet tyres, despite the track still looking quite wet. They are just worlds better. So let's hope that we can make some good pace in this stint. We're dropped down into 9th position with Charles Leclerc up ahead. He had a grid penalty in this race, but we move on and gaining on Charles Leclerc at this phase of the race. So let's see if we can make a move on him as we head along the straight. Can we get to the inside? We're a long way behind, but we go for the move up the inside of Charles Leclerc and we make the move stick, and that is a nice move actually there on Leclerc, and we move ourselves up into the top 8. Thankfully we do have pace. That's a sigh of relief for us on these intermediate tyres. We're not slow, unlike on the wets, so that is great news for us. We can push on in this race and try and make something of it still. I was hoping we were going to be just stalled in 9th position, but there's the gap ahead of us now to the McLaren, I believe, of Lando Norris. So let's try and change that gap and make it much smaller. But as we continue on, before we have a chance to reduce the gap to Norris, we actually have to pit for the dry tyres. So not even halfway through this race, and it's time to go back onto the slick tyres, and we're going to go onto the hard tyres. In fact, everyone in the field is going to go onto the hard compound tyres to the end of the race. So initially it looked like we were going to be maybe the only ones using the hards today, but apparently everyone has decided to make that switch onto the hards, and everyone will be running to the end, and it will just be a straight fight based on driver and car pace as we get the pit exit there a little bit wrong. But yeah, we're in 8th position and we still need to catch up to Lando Norris, so let's see if we can catch up to the McLaren and get some more points. But as we continue on, we do catch up to Norris, and we'll make the move to the outside of this left-hander at the end of the straight. We make that move nice and easy and move ourselves up into 7th. Next up is Sergio Perez. So we are slowly getting back to where we were at the start of the race, but if we want to get back to where we sort of should be in this race, we need to be back up with our teammates. But anyway, we continue on and do catch up to Sergio Perez, and we may be able to make a move at the end of the straight, just like we did to Lando Norris. We're taking a very wide line there on entry to the right-hander, and we've got the DRS open as we head along the back straight, and we should be able to make the move to the inside of Sergio Perez. Nice and easy down the inside, very deep into the corner actually, a little bit wide on the exit, but we do make the move on Sergio Perez. Next up is our teammate Danny Kvyat, who has actually lost a bit of time to Perez from earlier in the race, but we'll hopefully he'll be able to maintain that position. But a good exit out of the right-hander and onto the straight. Once again, we should be able to make the move on Kvyat down the inside from a long way back, not be close enough there, and getting a bit optimistic, but we should be able to overtake him soon enough, I would hope, and push away and try and hopefully maybe chase down Verstappen, but he is a long way ahead, so we're not going to get too excited just yet. But for now, we need to just keep our focus on Danny Kvyat as we head through the first couple of corners, trying to set up a move and trying to stay out of the dirty air as well through some of these corners is very difficult. But the dirty air it slows you down so much, so taking a slightly different line can make a slight difference. But anyway, we do get a good run on Kvyat down the inside, and we should be able to make this move much easier this time, and we do just that and get ahead of Danny Kvyat. Here's a replay of the move a long way back, but maybe a bit of contact made on the apex there too, but we do make that move.
Verstappen is ahead of you. Okay, gap ahead is 15.2 seconds.
But yeah, a long way to Max Verstappen, so I'm not sure if we'll be able to make that move on him anytime soon, but we'll try our best and see what we can do in the next few laps, see what the pace is like, and see if we can catch up to Max Verstappen. But I don't have high hopes, honestly. At this point, I think we're just going to try and consolidate what we have so far. But as we continue on in this race, you can see in the top left corner we haven't gained anything on Max Verstappen. If anything, we've even lost a few tenths here and there. So yeah, we just don't have the pace of Verstappen at this point, and yeah, really we are just sort of waiting for this race to end. Quite a long way to go still, so it looks like it's going to be a pretty long and boring one in the last half of this race, unfortunately for us, but we just have to deal with that, I guess. There's no more rain on the horizon either, so there's nothing else here to spice up the race unless there's a virtual safety car, and that is because Carlos Sainz loses control on the straight here and crashes into the wall, somehow still in the race. That's a miracle there for Carlos Sainz. How has he managed that? Carlos, what are you doing? That's a bit of witchcraft there. But yeah, here we go on board, and he just loses the back end, couldn't decide whether to go left or right of George Russell, and smashes the front wing off, debris everywhere. So that is why the virtual safety car is being called. Here we go, slowed down, and yeah, he tried to go to the right of George Russell, I think, and just pull too hard on the steering wheel. With the DRS open in the slipstream of George Russell, there was just not enough downforce left to keep the McLaren stuck onto the road, and as such the car slid and he lost control and crashed into the wall. There is a very scientific explanation of what just happened. But we go into the pits under VSC. That was actually very well timed for us, and we're going to switch onto the medium compound tyres for the rest of the race, and hopefully they will help us make a charge towards Max Verstappen, or at least to get back to where we were. I don't think we'll have what it takes to catch Max Verstappen. That might be a bit optimistic, but I just wanted something to do because this race was honestly not looking particularly interesting at this point. So we've dropped back down right behind Charles Leclerc once again, but we have plenty of time left in this race and tyres that will be significantly grippier than those around us. The tyre delta between the different compounds here, especially I think the hards, are so slow around here compared to the softs and mediums, so that's already a couple of seconds a lap. Wow, 15 lap old tyres for the field. Everyone pit on the same lap to go onto the hard tyres, or within a lap or two, so this is a huge pace advantage for us.
You're running in P9. Leclerc is ahead of you. Gap to car in front is 11.3 seconds.
So we move from partway through lap 40, 11 seconds behind, to the start of lap 43, so not even 3 laps, and we are right behind, and I mean right behind Charles Leclerc. This is insane how quickly we've made this time. We've caught him by about 4 seconds a lap. The pace we have at this point in the race is absolutely incredible. We get the DRS around the outside of Charles Leclerc. It's not even a competition, not even in a straight line, and we get the move done on Charles Leclerc and move ourselves up into 8th position. Next up is Lando Norris. He's not even very far ahead of us. We might catch him before the end of this lap. That is the pace that we have. Leclerc did not hold us up at all.
8th place. Norris is ahead of you. Gap to car in front is 2.3 seconds.
And that 2.3 seconds at the end of the lap, it's already gone. He was holding us up through the final corner. We go up the inside of turn 1, and that's job done on Lando Norris. And that is insane. You cannot normally make an overtake into turn 1. That's quite ridiculous that we can just make that move as if it's nothing.
The car in front, but we need to look after the tyres. We won't be making another pit stop.
Tyre conservation is not my concern.
The gap to the car ahead is 4.1 seconds. They're on old hards. Their tyres are 19 laps old. The time last lap was a 1:46.5. We're gaining by around 4 seconds per lap.
So there we go, 4 seconds a lap faster than Sergio Perez, and that was on a lap we overtook Charles Leclerc and were slightly held up by Lando Norris through the final couple of corners.
Increasing the gap to the car behind by a few seconds per lap. Keep this up.
So as we continue on, we again are right behind Sergio Perez, and we actually might be able to make a move into this right-hander. We go up the inside. It's a late move, but Sergio Perez has no way of defending. He does get a decent switchback, but it's not going to matter because we just got the better exit, and we make the move stick along the straight. So that is that move done, and we're up into 6th position. Next up is our teammate Danny Kvyat, and he is not too far up the road. A bit of a mistake there through the right-hander, but even so, we're not even threatened by Sergio Perez at this point.
Sat in 6th. Kvyat just ahead. Push for the position. Our gap to the car in front is 2.4 seconds.
So 2.4 seconds to Kvyat, and we are not quite close enough to make a move into the first corner, so maybe the tyres wearing out a little bit compared to what they were when we caught up that amount of time on Lando Norris. That said, Kvyat is driving a faster car than Norris, but we go around the outside of Danny Kvyat there, and that was a beautiful move. And now we have a clear shot at Max Verstappen, but it's a matter of if we have the pace and the tyre wear to be able to close that gap. It's a long way to Max Verstappen, and the laps are running out very slowly, but we are slowly getting towards the end of this race, so we'll just have to see if we have the pace.
Verstappen is ahead of you. Okay, gap ahead is 22.2 seconds. They're on old hards. Their tyres are 21 laps old. The time last lap was a 1:45.9. You're taking 1.8 seconds out of them each lap.
22.2 seconds, almost 2 seconds a lap faster and about 16 laps to go, we could do this. We could catch Max Verstappen. Let's get him.
Gap to car in front is 21.3 seconds, 19.9 seconds, 18.3 seconds, 16.9 seconds, 14.8 seconds, 13.2 seconds, 11.1 seconds, 9.0 seconds, 7.5 seconds, 6.3 seconds. There's 5 laps of fuel. Gap to car in front is 4.9 seconds, 3.7 seconds, 2.0 seconds. Just 3 laps to go now. 3 laps, 1.7 seconds. This is your final lap of the race. We're not going to be able to run in this engine mode much longer. We're about a lap over target.
The Mercedes team pulled out a fantastic performance today. They should be proud. Tell me, Ant, how do you think they were able to deliver such an incredible result today?
I feel like consistency was probably the key today. There's being quick, and then there's being quick lap after lap after lap. If you can do that, you can capitalise on other people's errors without making many of your own. And that's an approach that can push you a long way up the field.
So after a magnificent race, we can now see the drivers making their way to the podium. Once again, it's the Silver Arrows who take top spot. A well-earned victory for Mercedes. So let's review the updated drivers' standings. It wasn't the best weekend for our championship leader, and their advantage at the top has been reduced. Some amazing talent out on the track today, but Anthony, who would you pick as your driver of the day?
It's got to be Lewis Hamilton. I mean, he pulled off some impressive feats out on the track today, even by his standards.
It's time to see how things are shaping up in the Constructors' Championship. Mercedes continue to extend their lead. I'm equal parts exhausted and elated with this weekend of Formula One. Be sure to join us for the next one.
I cannot believe we got Max Verstappen at the end of all that. That is unbelievable. On the final lap as well, at the last opportunity we had. Couldn't believe that the tyres lasted the race. The last duration. Obviously, Verstappen was on ancient hard tyres at that point, but we were, our medium tyres were getting on a bit too. So, I can't believe it. It's crazy race. To pull in a 22-second gap in 15 laps or 16 laps, whatever it was, is one thing. But against a car that's faster on tyres that I was sure these tyres were going to wear out before the end of the race, and we would just stall when we get it, once we got a bit closer, or we'd get stuck in the dirty air, which did happen from, I think, like 3 laps to go to 2 laps to go. We only gained about 3/10, so that was very concerning when we couldn't brake within 1 second. But I made sure on the second last lap that we put in the best lap we possibly could, and I'd saved up a bit of energy and fuel to make sure that when we went for the move, we could make it count. And thankfully, we were able to do that. and come away with P4. Not quite the podium that would have been the dream, but really I cannot be disappointed with this race at all. The ending of that race, the last 15 laps, just seeing that time to Verstappen come down by a second and a half to 2 seconds a lap, every single time was absolutely insane. I couldn't believe that we actually were able to close up and take that position on the final lap. That was insane. And obviously I ended up putting music to that because I don't think I could do justice to that ending with commentary, and I quite like using music every once in a while. And you might notice I'm not using in-game music right now because for some reason there was none. The music at the end of the race didn't play. But anyway, crazy race. Let's get into the interviews.
The fans really seem to enjoy that. You made it look easy. You were cutting your way through the field during the race.
Yeah, in those last phase of the race, the medium tyres were amazing.
You're surpassing all expectations. Can anything or anyone stop you?
Well, clearly a car on hard tyres can't stop me, but yeah, it was unbelievable to come through the field today. I was not expecting P4 at the start of the day.
Did you feel comfortable in the wet weather today?
In the wet weather, not so much. In the intermediate conditions, things were pretty decent, but yeah, in the sort of full wet conditions on the blue wall tyres, it was honestly not too much fun. But in the intermediate conditions, we had some good pace. So there's still obviously some stuff to work on, but overall very happy.
Do you think you were lucky not to end your race with that crash? Great. Well, that's everything.
Thanks, Claire. So that brings the Singapore Grand Prix weekend to a close. We continue to beat Albon in our rivalry. I didn't really see him this weekend. I guess he was just doing Albon things outside of the top 10. But anyway, that's it for this round. So let's go into the R&D and HQ side of things, and we'll see what we can do. We got some resource points, and where will we spend them? Carl is recommending we go durability, but honestly I'm not concerned about that. Our durability is pretty good at the moment, so we're going to go for a major chassis upgrade, and that will hopefully come in. I think that's for Japan. I forget. It was on the screen a second ago, probably. But yeah, that's all we could afford. So other than that, that is it for the R&D. There is the chart showing us 4th fastest at the moment. Sorry about my phone going off. But yeah, crazy race. I cannot believe it. I'm gonna say it again. That was insane. So yeah, 5 rounds to go in this championship. I think technically we may be out of the title fight. Not that that was ever really a consideration, but the fact that we can say that with only 5 rounds to go, that is now mathematically impossible, is pretty crazy in itself. But anyway, we do have some upgrades coming for the next round, so hopefully that will help us pull even closer to the podium positions in Russia. It should be a track that suits our car. So once again, as we've done for all the rounds recently, we'll put the best possible engine components in, since we had to take those penalties in, where was it, Belgium? Yeah, in Belgium. We won't be having any issues on the engine wear side of things, or power units as it is. So yeah, that's not an issue for us at this point. It never really was going to be, other than maybe on the control electronics. But yeah, other than that though, there is not a lot left to cover. So thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time for the Russian Grand Prix. Goodbye.